Good morning and welcome to Morning Coffee with Brigid. I'm Brigid Burke. I'm noticing I look incredibly tired today, but I did get up kind of late this morning. Good morning, Alex, and happy and good morning, Pat. So yeah, I'm a minute late today. I woke up at like 6:20 or something, and then I got this long message from Azrael before I even started, so I am completely unmade up, and and I can see under my eyes. I'm like, oh my goodness. Good morning, Joanne. So anyway, I'm kind of throwing myself together a little bit at the last minute here, but today is good morning. Oh, good morning, Melissa. I look tired too. You just can't see me. Yeah, I guess. Well, I guess, I'm doing this thing called morning coffee, and I suppose at some point I'm not going to be able to hide the fact that I'm waking up. And actually, it's more allergies than anything else. It's just kind of like, everything goes around my eyes. I have like a dry eye. Sometimes I will notice that I'll have like a red mark, like right over here, because everything just, or I'll be like working out or something, and I can feel like tears running down the side of my face. And I'm not crying, and I'm not even like sneezing or anything. It's just like it's just what my eyes are doing at this age, and so they have been quite unruly. You have those things that you can buy that they put under the eyes that are supposed to take away like all the toxins and everything. Now I have those, and they don't work. Like everything with me, nothing. Everyone's like, oh my god, this thing's gonna totally work for you, and it doesn't. But anyway, I'm sure there are worse problems in life than dealing with that. Happy Eclipse Day, lunar eclipse, full moon in Pisces. I was going to talk about how I had, yesterday I actually was watching a couple of videos, just, because with the 8 million things I'm doing, I haven't had time to sit down and really plot the astrology of this. Good morning, Suda. It's nothing works, it always looks like I got punched. You don't always look like you got punched in the face, but I understand the sentiment. I understand how you feel about that. So anyway, I was just saying, I woke up kind of like 6:25-ish and was kind of rushing around, and I had this long message from Azrael. Actually, I think I was going to tell you that first. Reach down and grab my my big book of Azrael stuff, which is my technical name for my place where I write my things down. Okay, so what was the Enochian? Odobrins, Como, Basgem, Iaiadex, Tibilbagi, Alde Konf Gohan, Atharzi, Kukaz, Bagigapa, Komsela Aziazor, Ane. Okay, yeah, that'll make sense, right? Basically what that translates to is, today's the day that the window of truth opens. Honor her boundaries. Honor the boundaries set by her, which is interesting. A gathering number had spoken peace for this life. And those who are in the likeness of the Lord, which is a reference to the demiurge, are encircled. That's literally what that means. So that was kind of an interesting starting message for the morning. Quite a long message too. So there was kind of this sense that now we're talking about this eclipse, and I thought today would be a good day, being this is the first of the two eclipses that are somewhat monumental. And I was saying that I was watching some astrologers, and I was watching this guy. I think he goes by Astro Shaman. And good morning, Leela. And so I was watching his take on. I was just giving my Azrael message of the day. Where he's saying this is the opening day of the window of peace. Like there's going to be an opening, and anything that's what he calls the likeness of the Lord, which is not, that fake thing, is now going to be encircled. So in other words, kind of quarantined, I guess maybe is the right word. So I got that, and this Astro Shaman, which was funny. I was looking at this guy, and it was, and I'm watching this guy on TV, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, he looks kind of like somebody I know. And I was like, oh, he reminds me of this librarian I used to work with named Robert. And actually, Nocturnal Reptilian will know exactly who this is. But just try to imagine Robert if he had decided to become an astrologer. So anyway, only because she and I had both worked in the same place. It was, so it was, yeah. So anyway, but the guy, but he was fairly interesting and he was fairly concise. Oh my God, she's laughing. Yeah. So anyway, but he was, but I think his name is Benjamin. I can't remember what his last name is. But he is, but I mean, his forecast was pretty good. But he mentioned something that I thought was really interesting that I've not heard really talked about, and that's been something that's been going on for a while. And he's calling it a mini grand trine. Now, we know when we talk about a grand trine in astrology, we're talking about that triangle that is made in the chart when you have planets in the same element. So if you have, say, like I have a grand fire trine, so that means I have planets in Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius in my chart. So they make like a triangle. They make this grand trine. And the grand trine, whatever element, excuse me, is connected to that, is something that actually, it gives you kind of a natural boost. I mean, it doesn't solve all your life problems, but it gives you a natural boost in whatever the facets are of that element. So for me, I mean, that grand fire trine, yeah, that gives you an extra boost of fire, which people know me, that's probably true, right? So it's, so yeah, so we have this, this idea of, sorry, my brain, so we have this idea of the grand trine. So when he's talking about a mini trine, okay, he's actually talking in this case about a trine not between elements, but between planets. And there is a trine between Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And apparently there's been one for quite some time. And it's going to make, towards the end of this month, something that he calls a kite formation. And it's going to be connected to the sun. So you're going to be seeing the power of these outer planets. So Uranus, as we've talked about, has a lot to do with, those of us who have it in Taurus right now understand it's the whole thing about, it brings in the unexpected, it brings in a bit of the chaotic. Uranus is about doing things suddenly fresh and new and just kind of diving in. Like I said, the negative side of that might be that there's upsets and things tumbled upside down, in the same way that the Tower can be a positive card. It's almost like a Tower Star combination, right? It's like almost like, it can tear things down, but it can also open up all these new possibilities and new thinking. Okay, so that's the good thing about Uranus. Uranus tends to be very technology focused as well. Wherever it appears in a chart, you have, it's very unconventional, let's put it that way. So if you have Uranus in one of your job-related houses, you're probably not going to do a typical job. If it's in one of your love houses, then you're probably not going to be a person who's maybe up for committed relationships, or maybe you have a lot of different, or maybe you attract very different kinds of people, right? Now Neptune is, Neptune rules Pisces, so that's a very strong element for today. And Neptune, of course, is about seeing, what's unseen. Neptune is something that heightens intuition. It has a dreamy quality to it. It can be escapist, which I'm not going to label as positive or negative. Sometimes we need an escape. Okay, sometimes I think it's legitimate to say, yeah, I need an escape from this. And it's been in Pisces, so that's been like this double element of things. I don't know, like a glamour being thrown over things. It can be something where it appears to be, it can be better or worse, really. When you see this Neptune energy, when it appears prominently, these are areas where, again, where you're kind of exploring the outer limits, where intuition is more important than practical reason, facts. It's more that kind of space that you work in, where you're trying to get information from something other than what's in front of you. That said, because what you're trying to interpret, your mind may not always interpret correctly. Sometimes we have this nebulous element. 7 of Cups is a good card that kind of indicates that, because it shows us a lot of possibilities, but not all of them are things that we can manifest. So so there's that Neptunian energy as well. And Pluto, of course, as we know, is the stuff that kind of digs up the dirt. It's the shadowy planet. It transforms things. Now, both Pluto and Venus, as he had pointed out, have to do with money, because Pluto, the word Pluton literally means wealth. It's a Greek word for treasure. And it's interesting that that's the one associated with the underworld, but that's really not so weird if you think about the fact that if we think of the underworld as a place under the earth, like that's why it's the underworld, right? well, think about where, like, if you have gold and precious gems and things, where you get them from? You get them from the earth. You mine them, right? So Pluton often has to do with that which is catonic, that which is in the earth. And actually, even in Hindu conceptions of the afterlife, which I think are a bit later ones, but there's of the multiple worlds that exist, when the equivalent of what they would think of as the underworld, or the world underneath the earth, is ruled by the Nagas, or the serpents, right? And they said the worlds beneath the earth are more luminous than the world, the above world with the sun, because the precious gems like shine like brighter than the sun. So interesting conceptions here about Pluton. So it's kind of like, yes, it's the place where you have to dig deep, where you're kind of going into this void, where you're going into this space, but that's also where the treasure is. Okay, so what Pluto does is it's trying to show you what's in shadow, so to speak. But Pluto also shows you what is where your treasure lies. When James Hillman has his book called The Dream in the Underworld, when he talks about religious systems that say, like for instance Christianity, where they'll say, well, Christ conquered death. St. Paul saying, Christ conquered death, and he's like, well, that wouldn't actually be a good thing, because then now you have no access to where your treasure is, to the soul's treasure. It's when he talks about when people replace soul in the striving for what he calls spirit, and pneuma versus anima is the other words. And when you are making too much of a striving for spirit, then you're not living here and appreciating the life that you have here right now. And both are important. The problem is we've kind of had this lopsided way of looking at things that says, oh no, all of this is bad and it's wrong somehow and it's sinful and shameful and we have to strive for this thing that's not what we are or where we are. And that's, I think, then part of the narrative that's going away. And as I pointed out in my book, that means a disenfranchisement of the feminine, because anything connected with the feminine, with the Pluton, with the earth, with the underworld, with the where the treasure is, whether that be physical treasure in terms of monies or gems or gold, like in a literal sense, or whether we're just talking about just the treasure of being alive, all the good things that we have that we could enjoy that we've told ourselves we can't enjoy. So so there's this, because somehow there's some kind of a trap or a temptation. Anything that is done that we excessively become obsessed with, that's really where the problem is. The problem is not in enjoying things. The problem is when those things become obsessions or addictions or things like that. That's when they become a problem. But in and of themselves, they're not bad. I mean, it's just it's the way they can be abused that becomes an issue. So think about that. There's this mini trine, and apparently it's been going on. I'm trying to remember when he said that it started. I feel like it started back in the spring, and it's going to go on until it's either late 2025 or 2026, I think he was saying. But this really means all the we've been talking a lot about the outer planets, and everybody has been kind of looking at those aspects and digging deep, looking at their wounds, looking at what's blocking the heart. We're all kind of some people are doing that work with me, with the Rahani and with other things, but even on a broader scale, this is something I think that a lot of people are looking at, and I think a lot of people are having. I think what people are finding is that things are unfolding. Like there's revelations that are going on within our own selves. Like we are waking up to things that maybe we didn't realize. Situations that we thought were one way, and it's like, oh no, actually it's a different way. Like we all may be going things, and some of them could be mini crises too, where we're kind of like, okay, now I'm being shown what this really is. And the point of the mini crisis really is it's not to make you upset or make you an unhappy person, but it's meant to kind of show you something that you may be going down the wrong track because you're not seeing things as they really are. So, and again, that's going to mean different things for different people. Sometimes it's a matter of dealing with a person that you thought was a certain way, and then you find out, oh, maybe this person, maybe I thought this person was on my side and they have their own agenda, or I've heard a few examples of that, or something where you get involved in a venture and you think it's going to go one way and then it goes a different way. There's probably different examples of it that people can point to. And sometimes it can just even be just the ways that we deceive ourselves. Sometimes we can wake up to patterns that we have in our lives, and we go, "Wait a minute, I keep doing this thing over and over again." So it can go. It can be an epiphany. It can be a, "Hey, I've woken up and I've seen. Oh my gosh, now I see it." It's like the magic eye. When you have to try to see the picture in there, you're like, "Now I get it." And it can also just be something that kind of acts like, if you're kind of falling asleep, like a smack in the face, like, "Hey, wake up." Like, ooh, okay. So, good morning, Sam. And so this all acts in these kinds of ways. So, but I thought it was interesting because I've not really heard any of the astrologers talk about this mini trine. And now, in connection with that, so we have this lunar eclipse in Pisces that's happening tonight. Now, again, the hello. Okay, the astrology is kind of like going all over the place. It's like, okay, some people are acting like this eclipse is no big deal at all. Other people are acting like this is one of the biggest eclipses, like this is another major eclipse. Some people are saying it's a very minor one because it's a partial, and because it is because it's a partial lunar eclipse, they're saying, well, it's not that big of a deal. But it's Pisces, first of all, which is real strong water energy. And the Pisces moons always bring, imagination, creativity. You may have strong dreams. Those of you who have been doing dream classes and stuff with me, like this is a night to keep your dream journal nearby, because dreams are very, very strong right at this point in time. Where we start to, and people were taking intuitive development with me as well. It's kind of like, this is the time when your intuition is going to be heightened, okay? And the eclipse energy, there's this, the moon passes through the Earth's shadow, okay, at this time. It's only a partial, but as I mentioned the other day, the moon is at its closest point to the Earth. Your dreams are whack. Yeah, I had mine too, and I just, this morning I had a really, really odd, sometimes, okay, those of you taking intuitive development with me will appreciate this, because we talk a lot about the different clairsenses. Which ones? Are you more clairaudient? Are you more clairvoyant? Are you more clairsentient? Are you more, we've talked about all of those possibilities that people have. And I don't do this all the time, but sometimes, especially like early in the morning, I could have my eyes closed. I could be laying in bed, not asleep. And all of a sudden, I'll literally see like clear 3D pictures in my mind, like in my eye. I will like they're right in front of me. Sometimes they're almost like in a photo negative, so like it's almost like they're light on a dark background kind of thing, like that kind of a thing. But I see these kinds of things, and I saw a whole bunch this morning, which were, I'm probably not going to get into what they all were, but this is the kind of time for that. And eclipses are what bring clarity. Okay, they're what reveal things to us. It's funny because really with that you're seeing the moon or the sun, depending on which kind of eclipse you're talking about, being obscured. But it's almost like as the shadow passes over, it's like there's something else that's revealed. If you have a solar eclipse, you're going to have the if you can actually view it, which most of us, like when we view it through those glasses, all we see is the black blob kind of going across. But if people can photograph it, you can see like the sun's corona brightly, for example. Yes, it's like you're dreaming but awake. So weird. Yeah, and you may even feel that when you're getting up and walking through the day. Now, today's an interesting day because I'm going to Sleepy Hollow today with my friend Paulina, as I mentioned. And I keep feeling like, I don't know, like I feel this is like a good day. It's kind of cloudy here today. I feel like it's kind of a good day to go have a romp in the cemetery, in really what's technically, getting into New England territory. We're still kind of the mid-Atlantic here, but that's when you start to get into New York State, that's kind of where you're heading towards that. And generally, as we get up into the mountains, there's, as we're driving north towards the border of New York, New Jersey, that things start to get, a lot more autumnal. Like, is it real or not? Yeah, exactly. That's really the question. Is it real or not? So I thought what I would do today is do some readings. Let's just do some eclipse readings. I think that would be a good thing to do. Let's see what the energies are regarding the eclipse. Now I've got to get my cards out. I brought them down, the ones I wanted to use, and usually I have them out of the box and ready to go, but not today. So, and I have the lunar eclipse card right on the bottom of the deck. How about that? All right, so probably I was showing that yesterday. That's probably why it's there. Okay, so let's see. What's our message for the eclipse? I want to see what this says. Okay. Because I do think this one is probably more important than some astrologers. Whoops. Oh, this is so interesting. But this card flops out all the time lately, and it's not really relevant to this time period anymore. But it's and it's the Mercury retrograde card. I won't, spoiler. Love that Oracle deck. Oh, thank you. Yes, I found it actually in a store on Main Street in Clinton. There's actually a little. It's only a little store, but there's like a little metaphysical store there. The owner's very, very nice there. She had been in another locale, I think, on Old Highway 22, but then she moved. So, okay, the Yod card just came up. Okay, and so did the Grand Trine card. Isn't that weird? This eclipse feels important, big. Yes, exactly, and I think it's underrated by some people. I guess is the right word. Okay. That's the other thing. This month, before the end of the month, there's going to be another Yod aspect. And Yod is, some people say Yod, but it's, the Hebrew letter is Yod. Like the first letter of Yahweh is Yod. Well, I was going to message you about Yods. Oh my goodness. Well, please do. There is a Yod aspect on September 25th. There's going to be, it's going to kind of happen over a period of time. And Yod aspects, I have one in my birth chart too. Yod aspects come in when there is some, almost like, they're referred to as the finger of God. And it's like they're pointing to some kind of very specific or important purpose. And it's interesting how many astrologers I've heard saying, oh, late September is going to be quiet. There's going to be no astrology going on there. And I'm like, oh, there's actually a bunch. There's a lot going on. And there is a Yod aspect. Me too. And that's what I was going to ask you about. Yeah. Yod aspect is, now it's interesting because it almost implies, now again, I want to be careful how I say this because I don't want to come across the wrong way saying this, but there's something about a Yod aspect that is, that points you out for a special purpose, okay? So, being everything I said yesterday about the Tiferet point, I want to be very careful about it. As Estelle Yanyetz, who was my first astrologer, said to me, she says, you're unique and special, and so is everybody else. So it's not like, you're like, like you'll see those things where the ray of light just comes down and it's like, oh, God has chosen you. It's not, I don't want to give that dramatic impression. The Yod aspect actually can be a quite difficult thing because it means that you are, it's kind of like there's something that's specific that you're doing, okay? But it's not easy. Like me with the T-square, well, oh my gosh, these are tough aspects in our chart. And if you think about your astrological chart as being like the poker hand you've been dealt, a Yod aspect is like, it's something, it's like one of those cards you have that it's like, okay, this might be useful, but right now it just feels more like something I need to chuck into the pile, It's that kind of a thing. But it's something that we can't get rid of. It's something that we have. And there tends to be something unique that your soul is doing. And that doesn't mean that everybody doesn't have something that their soul is doing. It's just that some lifetimes, I think, are more peaceful than others. And Yod aspect generally makes for a little bit of tumult and a little bit of drama when you have it. In fact, just because Sam had asked about the Yod aspects, let me just read you what that card is about. And then I'm going to tell you what this reading says. Okay, the Yod aspect she calls the destiny aspect. She says, the ancients believed that Yod was an area of fate in the chart, and not particularly favorable one. Also called the Eye of God, the Finger of God, the Yod is a peculiar astrological configuration. It's a triangle formed by two planets 60 degrees apart, while both are 150 degrees from a third planet. It creates a thin pie-shaped aspect, hence what we see on this card. It's a piece of pie. The Yod configuration is linked to the Hebrew alphabet. Yod is the 10th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, which has a mystical implications, signifying the omnipresence of God and often denoting humility because the energy is locked in a triangular configuration, causing matters to be quote-unquote fated and often difficult, but not without their rewards. Yod configuration is influential and implies there is a disruptive force at work. In a sense, this astrological placement of planets is somewhat in exile from the other planetary energies. Didn't I just use the word exile before? Maybe I used it to myself. I don't know. Because they are not harmonious with each other and therefore cause tension. This can bring about feelings of intense stress and restriction. There can also be a sense of being different, feeling alone, or being out of step with others at times. A yod in a natal chart can indicate being the black sheep of the family. I'll bet you have one. You might. I mean, you have to take a, well, actually, yeah, right, because I don't think you know your birth time, Joanne, so, but we could probably still figure that out. When the Yod card presents itself in a reading, it means a situation may be chaotic or may soon turn that way. Welcome to chaos. It will be hard to see a clear path because of the chaos, but will be important to weather through it all. This is not always bad because it is a process of finding what works and what isn't functioning. And now will be the time to scaling things down and weeding out the unnecessary. Well, that checks out. Yep. And that's interesting because that is one of the things they're saying about this particular eclipse. Like this, the work to be done at this eclipse for everybody, whether they have a Yod in their chart or not, is that this is a time to, you're going to be shown very clearly what's working and what's not. So I'm not going to just go through the whole thing. She has a big long thing on it, but that gives you the idea of what that's about. So our first card, as I was going to say, there's a weird first card. It's Mercury retrograde's our first card here. So why is Mercury retrograde showing? We just finished Mercury retrograde, right? We're done with that crap for another few months at least. Maybe at least till December, January. I don't remember exactly when the next one is, but they tend to come up roughly quarterly. We get like maybe 3 of them a year. And I know we had one around Christmas last year, and then we had one. I know we had one in the spring at some point. So, I don't know, maybe we've had our 3 for this year. Maybe they'll all be early next year. I don't know. But in any case, you think December. Okay, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That's usually when they come about. It might be earlier, though, this time. Last year, I know that it ended on New Year's Day. And I don't know why I feel like this next one's going to be maybe starting end of November or something. So, anyway, we'll be able to look it up. But Mercury retrograde. Okay, so what is Mercury retrograde about other than like thing that we complain about all the time when we have delays, when our technology doesn't work, when communications don't go through? So Mercury retrograde I would say is mainly about communications that are somehow have gotten screwed up, lines getting crossed, somebody somehow misunderstandings, things not, like I said earlier, about things not being what they appear to be. So this eclipse, I think, is going to be about that kind of energy, the places where we've gotten our wires crossed and don't have it quite right, okay? And the environment that we're working in is Virgo energy, okay? So Virgo, this is interesting because Virgo, we've been talking a lot about planning and things like that and being practical and down to earth and getting things right, getting the details right. This is also a card of worry. I mean, Virgo has a lot to do with worry. It's you were saying, it's always Mercury retro inside the sacred circle. Yeah, poor Joanne, every time she does her podcast, it just seems like there's something that another friend of mine would call them gremlins in the works, like literally just before you're about to go live. But Virgo energy here is about, it's really about, it's organization. It's, if you know anybody who's Virgo, and I know a ton of Virgos, I'm celebrating a lot of birthdays this month, between family and others. And like I said, a lot of people I worked with in the library field were Virgo. They're, very kind of methodical, orderly, practical. So this is the places where we have our system, we have things organized, or we're trying to get things organized. We're trying to plan. We're trying to figure things out. We're trying to, Virgo here. Yes. You're one of the Virgos that I know. Yes. You're one of them. You're kind of an early Virgo. And, my sister's one as well. My brother my brother died, how many years ago now? But in any case, he was Virgo. My friend Elizabeth is also a Virgo. And Tracy, who we worked with, was also a Virgo as well. These are all, so I'm actually going to be seeing all 3 of you this month, which is really great. But yeah, there's a lot of Virgo energy, and a lot of people who we worked with, people who worked at the university, people who worked in the library in particular, there was a lot of Virgo people. I have a friend in Washington who, she was a student of mine who we became good friends. Virgo, and there's some people who are just very quintessentially Virgo. I think I've told the story of my brother who who had the extreme end of organization, like where he would iron all of his clothes, including his socks and underwear, and he had them alphabetically in order in his drawer by color, and they were, ironed. It was like, it was crazy. Happy birthday. Yes. Yeah. And, so Virgo, so this is the atmosphere. We're doing corrections in this atmosphere. Okay. This atmosphere of Virgo, of how we have it organized, how we have it planned, where we're sitting there going, okay, I've done all of this, but I don't know. I don't know if this loose end's tied up, and I don't know about this one, and I don't know about this one. That's your Virgo energy. That's a lot of the mental kind of thing we get into, is that Virgo can also have to do with health. It can have to do with the ways in which we, deal with, with the ways which we might be looking at our physical body or our mental health, or, different aspects of our health that we feel like we need to get organized and in shape and back in a routine. Like Virgo's very routine. Okay. So I feel like this is where we may have in our routines, developed routines that maybe, we're missing something, we're not seeing something here. And, sounds like an ambulance outside. Not outside my house, just on the highway. Okay, so here's what we're not seeing. This is the 4th house card, okay? 4th house is the card of roots. This is the card of family, okay? So, and it's interesting because when Patricia Weston did her reading on YouTube this week, and for the eclipse, she got all these family cards. So there's a lot, and even when I did readings this week, there's a lot around family for people. So in other words, it's not even necessarily, it could have to do with things going on immediately in your family, but it can also have to do with ancestral patterns, okay? Things that, traditions. We've been talking about tradition here all week, right? So traditions, traditional patterns. And so the 4th house is saying, we have these kinds of, this is what's hidden. This is the hidden thing that we're working on. So the question is, when something happens to us, and I think this guy last night actually, this astro shaman guy actually kind of said it quite well. It's just kind of like, okay, is this about an immediate event, or is this triggering a reaction that was from a past event? Which is going on here? Like, we're trying to figure out what's relevant to now, and what's something that's just a repeated assumption, which is part of our routine based on our past, based on our family history, based on how we were told that things were, right? And so now we have the Yod aspect. And so given all of this nice, neat, traditional, ancestral, organized, routine, let's dot our I's and cross our T's kind of energy, we have a disruption, okay? So Yod brings a disruption, but there's something, like I said, this is like the finger of God. There's something about it where it's just kind of like, okay, now this could be energies where maybe, you think you're on the inside of something and maybe you're not. I don't know. I tend to see the Yod aspect more as this is where if we've fallen into I forget where I saw this phrasing, the safe and unnatural routine that we all tend to sometimes put ourselves into. Things that it's like, okay, I don't really enjoy doing this every day, but, it's what I gotta do. We sometimes do that to ourselves, and we end up disconnecting from our dreams, our desires, from the natural world, from a lot of things, because, well, yeah, but I just gotta get up, hold my nose, and do it again, This is a disruption of that, okay? And our outcome, what are we just talking about, a mini trine? We got the grand trine here, right? Mini grand trine. So it's this Grand Trine energy. Now, Grand Trine energy, okay, as a card, this suggests this is going to be, this is where we're going to be moving, whatever this is, whatever the disruption is, it's going to allow us to flow into a more natural space, okay? Grand Trine, and again, it's not saying that, there's not going to be any more, there's still things we always have to do in those settings. But I feel almost like there's going to be a disruption and then the pressure's off. Like whatever shocking revelation we're going to have it, and we're going to be able to correct course, and then everything's going to flow. Sounds explosive. It does, doesn't it? But I don't know. I feel like we've been being prepared for that for the last few months. We've all had tumultuous, I think somebody was saying yesterday, like, please, for the love of God, can we not have any more, like, major aspects coming out? It always seems that way. But the Grand Trine energy is definitely... it suggests that things are on the up and up, and there's going to be, to some degree, you're going to feel the universe is supporting you rather than putting a wall up, okay? Like the universe is going to be providing some level of support. So that's interesting. That's what it's saying about this. Now, I've also got my Moonology cards here. As I said, I'm slightly unprepared today because I woke up late. But let's see. Okay, so what's our message for? I'm going to do 3 cards. I want to see what our message is for the lunar eclipse here. Okay, let's see what see what comes out. Oh, we got 2 so far. Let's see what the third one would be. Oh, this one. Okay. All right. Oh, interesting. Okay, so our 3 cards are Gibbous Moon. You're very close to achieving your goal. Already feeling the support, and that's a different feeling. Yeah, it's and that's good. I mean, you want to, and actually even today I woke up, and a lot of times with eclipses and when eclipses are coming, I don't sleep well, I'm restless, I'm anxious, and somehow I woke up today feeling like very good about everything, you know? I feel like there's that supportive energy. This is Gibbous Moon. You're very close to achieving your goal. And this is the situation. This is the advice card. Prosperity lies ahead. Okay, New Moon in Taurus. And then the outcome is have faith in your dreams. Okay, so this is the waxing crescent moon. So this is good. This is all new energy. New moon energy, waxing moon energy. This is all energy of increase. Okay, that's coming up in these cards. The Gibbous Moon card, let me just see what that says. The word gibbous means bulging. What a descriptive word, right? And pulling this card at any time of the month suggests the situation you're asking about is bulging with possibility and coming to a peak. But it's not an ending card with a neat yes or no. Rather, you're being reminded that some adjustments may yet be required before you get what you want. Again, there's that Mercury retrograde, that correction, okay? Though you're certainly on the right track, which is hopefully reassuring for you. However, there's also a sense that the situation is a bit tense, so don't push too hard, or one false mood and the whole thing could blow. Didn't Suda just say it was explosive? That's not meant to scare you. It's just to let you know there's a fuse attached to the situation, so be careful if you choose to light it. But it is saying the basic message is, I know I'm on the right track. Okay, so there could be a few little, explosions here and there, but it's not talking about anything that's horrific. Now, prosperity lies ahead. This card comes up when you're inquiring about a financial matter or if you're doubting your self-worth. This card suggests you can have what you want, including material things, but you must believe in yourself. You can create abundance. Taurus associated with the luxurious Venus, who has another player in this. Venus in Libra is this player here. And this holds new moon energy, so it's a good time. She's talking about making a 12-month financial plan, but we've just talked about plans and this kind of thing. Or our plans may adjust, certainly. It can also signal the start of a new relationship. If you've been wrestling with something for a long time, and new moon in sturdy Taurus is a sign not to give up. Okay, and healthy body, healthy mind. Get or give a massage. And being able to afford the things you're dreaming of, getting clear on what you most value, take some time out to pamper yourself. Okay, so yeah, like kind of connecting to the earth energy. Now, the waxing crescent, again, don't give up. Okay, that's the core message here. You're very close to where you're going. I think a lot of us are, like, we've had a lot of that 9 of Wands energy. I'm sick of this. I'm tired. I'm done. I'm about to walk away from this or that. And it's saying, don't give up. It's still taking shape. You're nowhere near the end of the story. Whatever's happening is a step along the way. As they say in the self-help classics, everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. However, it's a reminder that you must keep working towards what it is that you want. If you can't take practical steps, spend time meditating on the question you're asking about and to try to get a download of information about your best next step. Overall, it suggests there's every reason to be hopeful for a positive outcome. So this is about focusing on what your intentions are and what it is that you want. Of course, I would suggest too with Pisces energy though that maybe there may be some changes to that. Like for some people, especially if this shows up in your 11th house, it may be a change. You may think, oh yeah, this is the thing that I want. This is the thing I'm going to do. And then there's some new information that makes you say, maybe that's not my goal after all. So that is also a possibility there. Literally woke up and said, I'm over it. This is good to hear. There's definitely the sense, because that's what I keep feeling too. All week I have just been I don't know. It's kind of a back and forth with different things, and I just felt, I don't know. I can't. It's hard to describe how I felt, but I have felt moments where I'm kind of like, again, I kind of go through these cycles of, you know, should I just give up? I mean, I'm building something at this point. I'm not really ready to just walk away from something that's finally being built. But there are days when I'm like, you know, I just want it to be easy. I just want to always know that the money's there. I just always want to know. Yep, same here. Yeah, and this is saying, you know, there's saying, nope, you're, you know, I constantly, the messages I've gotten from Azrael or wait, keep saying wait for harvest time. That's going to be the autumn equinox, actually, which is next week. So, and again, just like he had done with the full moon in August, he has indicated to me that this eclipse is going to be an important one. And so is the next one. You are doing amazing. Keep going. Thank you. And that a lot of time what I end up saying to you too. So yeah. Leela and I are trying to cheerlead for each other. We're like, you can do it. Yeah, I'm not planning on giving up, so yeah, so no worries, thankfully. But so let's see. Okay, finally, we're getting towards the end of our live stream here, but I'm gonna do the I'm gonna do our regular. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, a lot of cards dealing with the past and with other people's burdens. Wow. Yeah, because our central card today is the comparison card. Mm-hmm. True that is yes. what she says down here. Comparison. Okay. That's five. We have 5 of swords, and then we also have, just a spoiler, we have 5 of cups as well. All right. So that's where, this is where this Yod aspect is probably going to come in. We're confronting places where we are limited or blocked, or feel that we're limited or blocked. And it's interesting because what we're unaware of is this six of swords. Now, here's an interesting little tidbit. When I was doing the Black Noon astrology cards, they do tarot correspondences with all of the planets in the cards. And you might be surprised to learn, like 6 of swords, I always think of, I love to see it because I want to move overseas, and it's the people on their little boat going across the water, and I'm like, yay, that's what I want to do. But there's the idea of moving away from tension, right? Moving away from anxiety. In this deck, it's about dropping the burdens of other people, because there's, like I said, there's this this person, this very exhausted person with this woman or whatever it is, whatever, man, woman, I'm not sure. I feel like in the book they're saying this is actually a man, which is kind of, it doesn't quite look that way to me. But anyway, riding on the back of this person, like with the rooster on top of their head, like pointing them in the direction, and this person just looks absolutely exhausted. But what they're doing is they're carrying this other person. So this is saying, this is the burdens that other people put on you. Now, that may get back to what we've said about the ancestral stuff, right? This may be expectations of family. It could be expectations of what we think society expects of us. You know, our neighbors, the people around us. You know, there's this sense of, there's a burden here. And it's saying, you know, internally what we're looking to do, that's the burden that we need to drop. It's not that we can focus on where we're going and we can get there and the universe will support us. But what we need to drop, the thing that a lot of times what we're doing is, yes, but if I do this, what's this person going to think? What's that person going to think? Oh, if I decided to leave my job and do my own thing, then they're going to think I'm lazy. We were talking about our 20s yesterday. I was definitely less burdened then. Yeah, and it's interesting, and then of course people who like start families of their own or have different things, like you start to then think you're dealing with all this stuff vis-a-vis expectations. Yeah, it's there's a period of time when you feel this is about freeing up. And remember, we had a lot of focus on the 9th house here, and the 9th house, in addition to being a house of faith and a house of expanding your horizons, is also a house of freedom and independence. So there's a lot of being and what we're trying to be independent of is this kind of stuff. Is the stuff that we are doing because it limits us, and we start comparing ourselves to others and considering ourselves unworthy. You know, the bamboo stalk is not the, I don't know whether this is an oak tree, whatever kind of tree it is. They're not this. They're both plants. They're not the same type. If one sat there looking and going, oh gee, I'm a failure because I'm not, you know, I don't look like the bamboo stalk. You know, I mean, it's not. It's the same. You're different. And of course, yeah, what we're aware of is clinging to the past. So this is the idea of, you know, this woman, all this stuff that's like in a box in her head. It's like, just take the whole thing, leave it at the curb. You know, put a bow on it if you want to. Leave it at the curb. Get rid of this box of the past. Because, yeah, there's definitely this sense that where we're coming from is having a huge impact. It's like it's tethering us to the situation. And yeah, and living moment to moment, okay? We've got our Two of Pentacles again. Moment to moment. Two of Pentacles, like I said, with the Leminskit, you know, you worry about what comes next. And certainly when you're in a very Piscean space, it's very fluid. So you're just flowing into what comes next. You don't want to rigidly try to plan too much. Although our outcome card is most certainly a Earth card, and that is the flowering card, Queen of Pentacles. So this is the time for flowering, and Queen of Pentacles is a card that I always associate with being somebody who an individual who has like a mom type energy, in the sense of being we'll say archetypally what mother energy should be. Not everybody's mom gives them this experience, but something where you feel safe, where you feel comfortable, where you feel at home, where you feel you're in a company where you can share and where you can be supported. Like, that's the Queen of Pentacles energy to me. It's also got that energy of good health and taking care of yourself and having abundance too, because Pentacles are about abundance. So this is a more emotional component of the Earth. And so, yeah, so basically you're getting, it goes along with everything we just saw. You're getting ready to flower. And, you know, that's, so as you're flowering, you are, just live moment to moment right now. Because everything that's burdening you right now has to do with other people's expectations, traditional expectations, past expectations, and that's what we're being challenged to get rid of. And that may be where we have our revelations. You know, there may be people or situations that we think, and then we may find out that the truth about something is very different. So, last card, and then we're done for the day. Our oil card, tension, okay? And the key word is release, okay? And the trigger statement is, I have nothing left. The true statement is, I nurture myself, okay? It is time to settle and create a sacred space where you can be in that place of rest. Healing will unfold. Well, there you go. There's your flowering card, right? I have a window open here, so we're probably going to hear the truck coming to pick up the recycling in a minute. But anyway, yeah, so that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Oh, Jenny, you've just joined me now, and I'm just about to leave, but the recording will be here. And yeah, so anyway, I hope you guys all have a really great day. I'll be back tomorrow morning, and yeah, good luck with this lunar eclipse, and we can report in tomorrow morning. You're welcome. Take care, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.